It's a numbers game with your host, Gill Alexander.
It's one of those idiots who believe in analytics.
It is a numbers game right here at VSiN, the Vegas Stats and Information Network, SiriusXM Channel 204, VSiN.com, the VSiN app, Fubo, Sling, Game Plus, and on down the line. It's Gill Alexander. It's Jeff Parlay, producer number 5. And ladies and gentlemen, as is the case each and every Thursday, we are blessed. We are privileged to have in studio. You can find him on Twitter at Bill Krackomberger with a K. It's Bill Krackomberger. Good morning, Billy.
Good morning. How we doing?
Well, you know, Bill.
I just heard about this.
Yeah. So, again, for those who are landing here, I ruptured my Achilles yesterday, 23 years after I ruptured my other one. You tore your Achilles once upon a time?
Same thing around 23 years ago.
Yeah.
I was outside playing with a dog and tripped on a sprinkler head in my front yard, and this is back in Jersey. And, yeah, so I was in the boot for a while. Had a great surgery, great surgeon, University of Penn. And, yeah, so but it recovered. My leg is actually this is 20-some years now, and it's never a problem. So.
Yeah. Yeah, no, my first one, it's like you become bionic afterwards. It's better than the original.
It's definitely better.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I'm hoping it goes well tomorrow. But, yeah, so and I appear to be in good hands. And thank you to everybody on Twitter at Beating the Book, because most of the tweets are people giving suggestions, people, first of all, wishing me well, and thank you so much for that. But then there's also people giving me suggestions for scooters, different types of scooters, and then doctors weighing in on, hey, afterwards, come to me, I'll give you this and that. And so Dr. Peter Bregman, by the way, thank you. Everybody weighing in, thank you so much for that.
Speaking of which, didn't you say that your brother's a doctor?
Yes.
You said that 10 different doctors couldn't give you 10 different opinions?
He said, here's the thing, Gil.
That's scary.
If you ask 10 different doctors, they can give you 10 different opinions.
Wow.
Yeah. That's comforting.
Yeah, that's why they say if you need a major thing like a heart or something like that, a heart problem, and when you need a heart doctor in Las Vegas, just to head to McCarran. And get to New York or Cleveland or one of these clinics.
Well, it's funny. My initial reaction, if I'm to be honest, was I'm going back to California. My guy who did my first one.
Oh, that's what I would say.
Well, but then I was told don't go on a plane because there's all kinds of clotting issues that could happen. And I ended up in the great hands of a doctor here, Dr. Monroe, who's done more Achilles surgeries in the state of Nevada than anybody has in the last 25 years. And he's super. It's like you and I breathe. He's like, yeah, I cut you open. I tied together. No problem.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Good. Does he listen? Is he a listener? Put him under pressure. All right, Monroe.
I don't think he is.
Oh.
I don't think he is, but we could do that as well. How you doing, man?
Good. Slow day today.
Yeah.
Thursday. There's a couple college football games.
Yeah.
But I just, you figure this first couple days of college basketball.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you about. Isn't this the time of year you like the best?
Yeah, but I'm just saying tonight there's only 3 college basketball games. I mean, those extra board games, I guess there is some extra board games.
But did you dive in first night?
Oh, God.
Did you?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Like, how many bets did you have going the first night of college basketball? Where there was 140-plus games. Was it Tuesday? Yeah, Tuesday.
Market-wise, here being in Vegas, just keeping up my live odds screen and, doing a little bit of live wagering, actually. I actually did some work during this is my busiest time where I'll get up 6 in the morning and I'll be nonstop all day long until late at night. And I say, 9, 10 o'clock at night. So, market-wise, when I say that is, I only had about 7 games, which were key games for me. However, I did a lot of market capping, a lot of market bets that day, even yesterday too. But yeah, and I had a great start.
Let's define that for people. So in other words, instead of having a handicap on a game,
right,
you were playing the number.
Right, you're playing the number, playing some half times, which are slow-moving books. Let's face it, for all people that don't know, the second half lines are made by 1 or 2 possible bookmakers, and everyone else copies that line. So now some of them have an in-house statistical program that comes up with a line too, but they don't always trust their system, and they'll wait until the main line maker has their line, and they'll copy that line. So the slower moving books, after they get that first hit, because let's face it, the line maker cannot get all these lines right. I went on a couple podcasts this week talking about that. There are so many games that come up. Let's use opening day. Let's use Tuesday for an example. And, they have 75 different games to come up with a line on, plus throwing half a dozen NBA games, hockey, a football game or two, which there was, and they just can't get the lines right on all these games. Especially like games like Presbyterian and Bryant and Rutgers and these little Kennesaw State. Am I pronouncing that right?
Kennesaw, yeah.
Kennesaw State.
353 D1 college basketball team.
Right. So there's 351 games and teams. They really can't every day get that line right because they have to concentrate on the whole entire thing, whereas an originator or someone with a model or an algorithm or a team only has to concentrate on 20 or 30 of them. Mm-hmm. And they just, like I said, I'm like a broken record the last couple of days because it's the best time of the year to bet sports for me. College basketball is number one, followed by college football early in the season. College basketball early in the season, fantastic. And it'll go. I'll bet all throughout the season, too, whereas a lot of other sports I don't. I slow down in college football towards the end. College basketball, I'll go right up to round 2 of March Madness. Maybe not having as many plays. I'll have less and less plays as it does come to especially the conference tournaments. Conference tournaments are harder to beat, I think, whereas someone like Alan Boston doesn't think so. He likes the conference tournaments.
Bob Stoll, Dr. Bob, conference tournaments are his bread and butter.
Right.
Loves those more than anything.
Yeah, so, but I will bet them. I just don't bet as many games as I'll bet now, where I have no problem on Saturday having, 20 bets on games, 25 bets, where that later in the season on that same Saturday, in January and February, I'll have 5 bets. So, but it's the best time of the year because of the softer market, and the proof's in the pudding. Go to a sports book and try to make a bet. I was pretty shocked. One of the apps that is one of the bigger apps in town, I went on to make a bet, and it was $1,000 max. Now, listen, I know 99% of the public bets less than that anyway, but I'm just saying all I'm trying to do is prove a point here. NFL, I could bet $10,000 on that same game. Mm-hmm. College basketball, I could bet $1,000. And if you want to bet a total, maybe 500, maybe 300. I do notice all the games are lined now, all the totals this year. I like to see that because some of the sports books were only doing the TV games last year, and I noticed this year they're not. So it looks like even these extra board games, there's totals on all these games. So I find that interesting. There's lower limits, but doesn't matter. At least they're making an effort here to have totals on all these games. So again. I just to beat a dead horse again about something else. Should I go into that now? We have a couple minutes to go into the minus 114 that I seen the other day.
The price gouging you were
price
referring
gouging.
to?
I put it on Twitter in there, and
please,
and I went on a couple shows and talked about it. I guess they're just. It is what it is because the beginning of college football, I also noticed this a little bit. Then I'm not going to say it was because of me, but it was because of a collection of people revolting a little bit, and they went to 110, a couple of the books. Well, it's the same thing now in college basketball. These sports books that are the Euro books that can be software and a different kind, they're charging $1.14 on both sides of a game, and it's just sickening to see it. And it's not only the app; it's the brick and mortar. You walk into parks in Pennsylvania, you're paying $1.14 minus on both sides, but some people don't know any better. So
we talk about it every time.
They're brand new. They just go, I don't care. It's $4.
A brand new generation doesn't know any better.
Yeah, well, at least I'll let you know that you can go to your little, like I always said this before, especially over there in Philly. You can go to your little. The hot dog cart on Fifth. They charge $1.10, and he's there every day.
He's been there for years,
right?
Yeah.
But anyway, not only that, there are sports books in Pennsylvania that are charging $1.10. So some people were writing in on Twitter saying, "Well, you got to understand, Bill, the taxes in Pennsylvania are 30-some% compared to Jersey, only a third of that." That has nothing to do with this.
Nothing,
because the same software providers, the same sports books in New Jersey are still charging $1.14 in New Jersey. So this has nothing to do with the Pennsylvania tax and the bad deal that, by the way, it's a terrible deal that they made for themselves, unless they're just trying to be involved in branding, which I understand. But
wasn't the license fee there also just exorbitant to begin with?
Yeah.
Was it $10 million to get a license there?
I think it was $10 million.
Yeah.
It's a nice little shakedown.
There's a nice shakedown. Right from the start.
So anyway, it's not the taxes. It's the sportsbook provider and it's the sportsbooks themselves. The Rivers casinos, same thing. It's just ridiculous. I don't know. I hope there won't be an advertiser on the site, and on VSiN anytime soon. I apologize if they will be.
No.
But
That's
what we do, though. We're here to help. We're here to help the player. We're here to help the listener. So I'm an unpaid guest. I just come here and talk like I want, pretty much unfiltered, which I like. I'm trying to help people. That's what the whole network is here for, to help people. And just to make them aware that places are charging $1.14 when there's $1.10 at next door. By the way, there's a couple different sports books in Pennsylvania that they're brick and mortar. They're charging $1.10, so they're making it fine. And just it's good to know that's what the way it's supposed to be. I know it only sounds like $4 extra off 100, but in the end, that'll deplete your bankroll. It's gonna, 25 games down the road, you had a free bet.
It's so funny because as you're saying this, that's exactly what's going on in my mind, right? I'm saying to myself, I wonder what the percent. Now, maybe this show the higher percentage than perhaps others, generally speaking. I don't know, but most people, regardless of who they are listening to this, most people are just like, Bill, just like you were just saying.
Yep.
I just want the entertainment.
And that's no problem.
Yeah.
No problem. Have fun. Enjoy yourself. Yeah. I need your money in the market, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be a jerk, but
no.
I understand. And if it's a social thing, like I said before, you go out to dinner, you go out to movies, you enjoy yourself, you go shopping, and you go lay $1.14. You're the same person.
Mm-hmm.
I have no problem if you're having fun socially, and like I said, I need guys that on one hand, I need guys that lose to play sports books and don't care about lines and don't line shop, because that's the market, that's the money that I want to take a little piece of that market with my winnings every year. And so of course we need losers in the market. However, I can't help myself. I still got to try to help people.
Yeah, no. And that's what I wanted to point out is Bill's not trying to be your mother.
No.
He's just trying to say this is how, listen, mathematically over time, that's a losing proposition for you to lay 14 says instead of 10 is hard enough. Your break even becomes that much higher incrementally. Every penny in addition to the minus 110. It becomes even that much more, higher. 52.4% is what your break even is at minus 110, and that just rises with every bit that you're charged extra on that. Let me ask you a question about this, though, because I have noticed this offshore. So, typically you could do things we've talked about teasers, right? We talk about teasers here in Nevada as well, how, look, books realize teasers, bettors have gotten the best of them on teasers, and we've talked ad nauseum here, at least, about how they've raised their numbers on the juice on the different types of teasers you can do, and therefore your break-even percentage incrementally gets higher as well. I've noticed something that offshore, they won't let you, there's certain people now, they won't let you parlay either. So just think about that. There's all kinds of different mechanisms. And by the way, for those who don't think the best bettors are parlaying, think again. They are. Some people have gotten limited on that as well. So it's like everything that is, listen, they're controlling what you can and cannot do. So I guess my point being with all of that is, look, exploit what you can while you can, because eventually, if it's too big of a winner, it'll go away.
Well, I actually don't know about that. I didn't hear that. So they're actually limiting parlays, or even taking away parlays.
Or taken away for some. Yep.
For most of the public, most of these sports books, they would never do that. They love parlay bettors are the bread and butter of the sports book.
Yes,
so
not in some spots.
I don't understand.
In faraway places.
And just to let you know, people always say, well, parlays are always sucker bets. Well, they're not a sucker bet. If I know I'm going to bet 2 games -3 and they're both going to close -4, well, I know it's not a sucker bet to me. I'm going to get the best of the line.
In fact, quite the opposite. Yeah.
Right. So, but when I first started betting, these places had even no juice on 6-point teasers and -110 on a 7-point teaser for years. For years, they're back in the 90s. There was -110, and just like if you were to buy off or on of the 3 in the NFL, I had shops that charged 10 cents. Just 10 cents extra, where now most shops won't even let you buy on or offer on 3 in the NFL. So it's all it's all dependent on the bookmaker. But I don't understand why they wouldn't allow parlays. God, that's the bread and butter of the books, really.
I know some folks who yes.
Wow.
And when I say know some folks, I'm using special words. Yeah,
sure.
No, it's happening. Believe me. We'll come back. We'll talk more with Bill Krackomberger. By the way, it's all brought to you by the BetMGM app. Fall is the most exciting time of the year at BetMGM, New Jersey's ultimate online destination for fans who want to wager on football, pro and college basketball, hockey, and more. This week, BetMGM has a special offer for new customers on tonight's matchup between the Raiders and the Chargers. Just use bonus code VSIN100 to place a $1 pregame moneyline bet on the Raiders and win $100 if the Raiders score. That's right, I'll say it again. First-time BetMGM bettors get 100-1 odds on the Raiders scoring tonight when they use bonus code VSIN100. It's time to believe in your game at BetMGM. Turn your predictions into convictions with real money bets on parlays, boosted odds specials, in-game live betting, and much more. Download the BetMGM app or visit BetMGM.com today and get 100-1 odds on the Raiders scoring tonight when you use bonus code VSIN100. Got to be 21 or older? Got to be in New Jersey. Restrictions apply. Visit BetMGM.com for the full list of terms and conditions. Coming back with the Crackman right here at VSIN.
Keep it right here for more of A Numbers Game with Gill Alexander.
Last week, here's some of what you missed.
So now we go to your next favorite quarterback, Jameis Winston, who gets to play host to the Arizona Cardinals. Look ahead was Tampa Bay -5.5. Reposted at what, John?
We reposted it at 6, and we're actually back down to that look-ahead number of 5.5.
Were the Bucks a sharp side today at Seattle? Because I know a lot of sharp bettors who really like the Bucks.
I would say the Bucks were maybe the sharpest side this week in the NFL. After Baltimore, all the wise guys were on Baltimore and Tampa Bay, and you saw that Tampa Bay number come down from 6 down to 4. And we've seen a lot of times this year. I know they're a favorite in this game we're about to talk about, John, but we've seen a lot of times this year when Tampa Bay's been a dog, especially on the road, that a lot of sharp money has come in on the Buccaneers.
Now, I would think here, just off the top of my head, that this is going to close closer to 4 than it is to 6 because Arizona has been a great cover team. They're 6-3 against the spread thus far this year. They have shown improvement from week to week. They're 4-1 in their last 5 against the number. So that shows you that the team is improving, and especially in a dog situation, which they have been every single time except for the Carolina game.
I got to tell you, and I'll throw this to Murray because you and I talked about this last week, JVT. I had to sit back and think, do I have to reconsider some of my handicapping philosophies here? Because I thought going into the season there's no way quarterbacks like Kyler Murray and Lamar Jackson were going to be able to win games against good defenses in the NFL. But has the league changed enough where these guys can run? You can't hit the quarterback anymore. Yeah. Has the league changed enough where guys like Kyler Murray and Lamar Jackson can be successful? And Jackson is definitely a better quarterback than Murray at this point, who's just like a little scat running back. But do you think Murray can be successful? I mean, I don't want to overreact to what the Cardinals have done here. They just won 3 games in a row, and they went up and down the field on the San Francisco defense. It was number 2 in the NFL.
Well, at the risk of sounding like a broken record, the answer is it's all about the system these guys are in. I mean, absolutely. Kyler Murray could be a very successful quarterback in this league in the right system because of all these rules changes, like the one you just touched on. They don't let you hit the quarterbacks anymore. That obviously benefits a guy of Kyler Murray's size. He's not built like a Ben Roethlisberger, right? He's not going to be able to take much punishment. If he's in the right scheme, look at Robert Griffin III. Back in 2012, he set the league on fire in a scheme where 2 guys on his coaching staff were Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan. That's not a coincidence. Right. If these guys are in the right scheme, like we're seeing Lamar Jackson in Baltimore, absolutely, they can have a ton of success.
Panned out so far, and I think Kingsbury, you talk about adjusting. I didn't think Kingsbury was going to be great coming in, but he's adjusted as well, and he's gone from conservative to actually a little bit more aggressive.
Believe me, there's a lot of people around the NFL, guys who've been in it forever, who hated to see Cliff Kingsbury get that Arizona job because he didn't pay his dues. Yeah, he didn't pay his dues. And, Vic Fangio's the guy who paid his dues. Who looks like the better coach right now?
Welcome back to A Numbers Game with Gill Alexander.
Speaking of college basketball, VSiN's first ever college basketball betting guide available now for download as we break down all 32 Division I conferences and 353 teams. It's a 400-page digital magazine with stats, trends, and analysis to help your hoops handicapping through March Madness. Humans ranks the top 50 teams in the nation. Hoops Peterson weighs in on every single team in D1. Steve Mackinnon with 3 sets of power ratings for every team. And for those of you who are newer to sports betting, Josh Applebaum has tips on wagering on college basketball in general. All that and more for just $9.99. Or check out other packages and prices, including a free trial. All the details at vsin.com/subscribe. We get tweets at Beating the Book. Everybody's really super nice. David Dorman, good luck today. Feel better soon. Take care, Gill. Thank you. Raj Body, the best to you today and during the recovery process. Thank you very much. KJ Jones, 707. Is the Megapod live on VSiN? No. That's podcast, Beating the Book podcast. You'll have to subscribe or find it on iTunes or wherever podcasts are distributed. Big Kahuna Sports. I will be under the knife tomorrow, so Parlay will be hosting. Parlay, you having Wishnev in here tomorrow? What's the deal?
Yes, for an hour, yes.
Big Kahuna Sports. Todd preparing for a 2-hour show by himself. He would have more questions for listeners than he would have answers. But he's not preparing for 2 hours by himself. That's not very nice. Todd will have many nice things to say. Young Buck Cappers. Always listen to Bill Krackomberger Day. Happy to have Bill here as well. Dave Fair, this is from Mike Chiappetta, responding to Dave Fair and Matt Brown. That's great. Congrats and good luck. What he is referring to, and I mentioned this before the break, I am joining Dave Farah, VSiN's own Dave Farah. Dave Farah, who, by the way, is a beloved morning show host here in Las Vegas as well, and our buddy Matt Brown, who's on VSiN as well, along with former NFL quarterback Jordan Palmer and former Tennessee Titan, Philadelphia Eagle, Dallas Cowboy, DeMarco Murray. We're doing a fantasy show, and we're going to air it from the VSiN studios here on Sundays, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon. We'll do it from now until the end of the football season. It's the all-access fantasy football show on Access TV. So we're looking forward to that. So Dave Farah, the host of that, from his production company, Farah Fox Dog. So we're looking to do that. So appreciate the shout-out on that. That's all about Dave and Matt, who brought me into that, so appreciate it. Other tweets as well at Beating the Book, and again, everybody super nice. Eric Glack at Gill looking to getting a device called the iWalk. It's like the scooter, but more like a peg leg. So everybody's got super nice advice for that. It's support at the same time location. I've been a PT for 20 years. If you have any questions, thank you. I'll be all right. Let's see. No video on Fubo this morning from Dr. Death. He said that. Did we get that straightened out?
We got it straightened out.
Okay, just checking out. Just reading live, Jeff. I don't care.
You just you're throwing the tech crew under the bus.
No, I'm not doing that. Just telling you what's happening. Todd Wright on fire this morning. That's from Guglielmo. Sorry. Todd Ricker. McCaffrey actually fell to me with the number 6 pick. Wow. Huge in fantasy drafts. And Schmitty. Best of luck tomorrow, Gil. Over under on weeks before you're back to normal. Well, it's a 30-minute procedure. I'll be out of there in 2 hours. I'll be on the show on Monday. Whether I'm back to normal or not, that's a matter of opinion. We shall see. But Jeff will be here with Wishnev for the second hour tomorrow. What are you doing first hour tomorrow?
Oh, we'll have a star-studded lineup of to be determined at the moment.
TBD.
We have 24 hours to figure it out. We're in good shape.
Here's one for you, Billy. Tom Mast, 313. Totally agree with Bill. I'm in Pennsylvania. FanDuel 2. Team Teaser +6, 13 to 10. Juicing the hell out of Teaser. Straight plays, too, as you stated. Hockey horrible, too. 30-cent juice on pick'em games. On and on. Cole Kellen. Love the show. Especially love learning from you guys. My book has a limit on plus money parlays. Limit 2 in any parlay. I understand they want to limit liability, but I feel this isn't a good business decision because I'd lose more often than not. Here's from Cole Kellen being honest about his losses. Anyway, appreciate all that at Beating the Book, especially all the well wishes. Everybody's kind. You wanted to say something about the BetMGM in-game stuff.
Oh no, when the commercial was on, I was saying, I was talking about the BetMGM app, how the live the in-game lines. Now, yes, they are wide margins, just like but most in-game margins are wide. However, there is some value there, so just keep your eye. I want to tell the listeners and the viewers, keep your eye on the if you have the MGM app. I know is it only New Jersey right now? Is that right? I think it's only in New Jersey right now, but it will be in
yes.
other places.
BetMGM will eventually roll out nationwide.
It'll roll out nationwide.
Yeah.
There's some really good. I don't know who runs that line set, but someone running that line set early, especially, may be going off their position on the game. And what that means is, let's say the game kicked off and they say, wow, we're an extra $140,000 heavy on this side. Well, let's use that to maybe see if we can get off some live or even up our books live, and they'll hang some low-hanging fruit there. So some of the other sports books may do that also. I'm not sure. But I just noticed being the MGM app, there is some low-hanging fruit to be taken there. Some lines were off a couple points in the beginning, and when I say off, you could just market cap again. You could just look at some of the originating bookmakers, the ones that put up the lines, so the live lines first. And it's basically just it's work. Let me tell you right now, it is a lot of work. You have to have a couple screens up. You have to have a good bankroll in place, and not that you're middling and scalping, because that's not what I recommend to do. I just like to bet the bad line. I mean, so if you see a line that's 2 points more, the one I remember that stood out when I was there was when Minnesota played the Giants, and I was laying 9.5 on Minnesota when the line was actually 12.5. So there's some interesting things you can do there. Yes, you could even middle that, especially as it goes later in the game. But you have to middle live wagering. It takes such a tedious, fast process. You have to be lightning fast, though, because the line moves every couple of seconds. That's why I only recommend betting during commercials, too.
Yes.
If you're betting live wagering, they have a 7 to 10 second delay on you. Make sure you're betting during the commercials.
You get the spin otherwise sometimes.
And that's it.
Yeah.
They say it's about a 7-second delay compared to an AM feed, which you're watching on TV. Now you get put in a queue where it's spinning. And this is not all places, but some places that you're spinning and spinning and spinning. And let's just face it, when you get put in a queue, you might be getting cheated.
You might be getting, and that's the feeling you get, right?
Well, it's the feeling you get anyway.
Whether it's true or not.
You might be getting cheated. Yeah. I know that of course, it's just cynic nature of me sometimes, but I know in the beginning of when live wagering first came to Las Vegas, there was a lot of shady stuff going on. But I mean, how do you talk to anyone in gaming about live wagering when it's hard to explain about regular? You're taking your position. If you take something to gaming, you have to automatically explain to them your side, and most of the times, automatically they're in the line. I know that they're supposed to be there to protect the public from the casino stuff there, and vice versa, but automatically they think it's a disgruntled gambler, it's a losing gambler, and the gaming board is a very they work hand in hand with the casinos. If it wasn't for casinos, by the way, not just here, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, everywhere, if it wasn't for casinos, gaming wouldn't have jobs. So you really have to win your battle a couple times when it comes to gaming boards. So
yeah.
And listen, I'll tell you right now though, at least they do take the complaints and they do look into them. I know a couple gaming guys. I have a lawyer here that used to be the head of gaming. So he was the head of the gaming board. That's one of my lawyers. So I know that they do. Their job is to take the complaint, but just think if you're a gaming agent. You're taking complaints from disgruntled gamblers, like I said, and people that lose, and most of the time they really don't have a case. So it'd be like working at a counter here and dealing with horse bettors or something, screaming and yelling or something all day long. So they're not happy people that are calling in.
Yeah, and for those who think it's 100% of the time that they rule in favor of the casinos, again, I use the it's not 100% of the time. We told a David Toms story. There's an old golf tournament. Chrissy tells us better than I do. I don't remember the details. But David Toms was winning a golf tournament years ago, about 10 years ago, by, I don't know, he's going to the final round by like 9 or 10 strokes. They posted a bad number somewhere, and a guy saw it. He grabbed it. He kept betting it over and over and over and over. The casino was like, well, we're not going to pay you, and gaming actually ruled in favor of the bet.
Wow.
Himself.
Now, there's a perfect example of how gaming helped one of the players.
Yeah.
And, sometimes, though, these casino corporations that someone's going up against, they don't realize the bad press they're going to get because of an unethical decision or something. Like, you have to think, how much money is this over? The majority of these complaints are only over a couple $100, $500, $1,000.
Well, I hate to bring it up, but it's like our William Hill NFL props thing 2 years ago, right?
Right.
If they don't get bad publicity, do you think that gets resolved that way? Probably not.
Sure. Well, there you go.
Here's a non-betting thing. You hear the Krispy Kreme story in Minnesota? Did you hear this guy? An entrepreneurial young man. Krispy Kreme doesn't sell in Minnesota, but they sell in Iowa. So he was doing something in Iowa. I don't know if it was an athletic event that he was playing in, and he called his buddies or he put on his Facebook page. He's like, "Hey, how many of y'all want Krispy Kremes? I'll drive my." And he said he got like 300 responses, and a business was born. So he would go in the middle of the night. He'd drive, 400 miles or whatever it was. Don't hold me to 400 miles across the state line into Iowa. He'd buy boxes and boxes of Krispy Kreme. He'd go back and he'd resell them in Minnesota. And Krispy Kreme found out about it, and they're like, "Yeah, you can't do that anymore." And so because they just were like, "You can't."
Wow.
And he handled it as a young man. He handled it very nicely. He was very above board about it. He was like, "Hey, I understand. Wasn't trying to make Krispy Kreme look bad. Perhaps this will lead to some other opportunity." He didn't bash them. He didn't do anything like that. And when the firestorm of publicity, to your point, came, it's amazing how different corporate opinion, how corporate opinion changes very quickly. Immediately, Krispy Kreme reached out to him, and he's going to be able to resell them now in some other fashion.
Wow. That's interesting. That's 400 miles. Wow.
Or something like that.
I've driven 400
Maybe
miles
not 400.
for a Carvel cake before.
Back in the day.
Fudgy the Whale.
At your local Carvel ice cream store.
No, I don't think that's why I don't think they don't have them out here.
No.
But no, that's unbelievable that now, see, as soon as they got to a certain level, they said,
right.
"Wow, we can use this to our advantage." Why are we?
We didn't expect that to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Interesting.
Yeah. So gaming.
We could talk about any unscripted, any subject here. Carvel cakes and Krispy Kreme donuts right here on VSiN.
It'll just come up. Just come up. What'd you write for gaming today?
I wrote about the story about what I just said about the college basketball season, and the bookmaker cannot get the lines right on all the games. And I actually my story there was on a Saturday during cross sports now is the best because now you have college football and college basketball. So they have to come up with 150 lines on Saturday to get right. Just think about the originating bookmaker, how they could come up with that. You think about the time each one takes. So normally you're taking so much time for each game. I use the Westgate guys, the guys over at Westgate, because they come up with they have their little meeting with the college basketball during March Madness, and they come up with all their lines ahead of time. Smart, one of the sharpest sports books in this town, personnel, without a doubt, Jay has over at the Westgate. So it's the same thing. It's a meeting of the minds in faraway places that are coming up with. Now I know we have Circa here competing with that also, but the originating lines. So they spend 3-4 minutes, 10 minutes on each game, and you can't do that when there's 150 games. So it's more of not a guess process, but it's more of let's start. This looks good. Next game. This looks good. Next game. And they have to take bets on them to iron out the lines the right way. So early in the season, watch these line movements. Watch what's going on with these games.
Our biggest advantage as a sports bettor, we say it all the time. They have to post a line for everything. You do not have to bet everything.
Correct.
That remains our biggest advantage, that discretionary ability. You're going to hate me for this. When we come back, might you have a pick you'd like to share?
Nothing going on today. It doesn't really. I mean, I will have picks though.
Perhaps
on Thursdays because college basketball is very big on Thursdays.
Yes,
but I mean, I don't have anything yet today. I mean, during a break I could scan and see if I can throw a little bone out.
How's your buddy Warren Sharp doing with his bets?
Yes, he had a good couple of weeks.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. See if we can price something out.
He recovered a little bit from the season. So.
See if we can price something out of Bill. Okay. It's coming up. It's a numbers game with Bill Krackomberger right here at VSiN.
Keep it right here for more of A Numbers Game with Gill Alexander.
If you didn't catch VSiN last week, here's some of what you missed.
So we'll go on to the next matchup. That's our Thursday night. Opening line is 1.5 Raiders at home against the Chargers. So we go to Kansas City, Tennessee. Now, the Chiefs have been playing the last week. Musical chairs. Oh, will he, won't he, in terms of Patrick Mahomes and if he's going to play. There's a lineup here. I assume after him returning to practice this week, them kind of playing this game, you're expecting Mahomes, right?
This line is based on Patrick Mahomes starting at quarterback. Sure. Kansas City minus 3.5 is the opener, and that's what we have right now. And we fully expect Mahomes to go.
Okay.
Rematch of a playoff game a couple of years ago when the Chiefs had a 20-7 lead or 20-3 lead at the half, and Matt Nagy, his offense did not put up a point in the second half, and the Titans stormed back to win the game on the road with Marcus Mariota.
Tough show for Matt Nagy tonight, guys. Marcus Mariota won a road playoff game. Think about that for a second.
Yep.
He did.
That's
And then
crazy.
got destroyed in New England the next week.
Not so good the next week.
I agree with this line of 3.5. You think Mahomes is going to play, and I would have to make it. I would say it was going to be 3.5 or 4. The Titans are a team I just rarely ever look to bet on. I don't like that team.
No, I agree. We've talked about this before. They're the paper Titans. They're 8-8, 9-7.
Right.
And no matter who their coach is, it's just the exact same thing.
They're a little bit better with Tannehill versus Mariota.
Yeah.
But
even today, Tannehill 2 picks.
yeah, otherwise I agree with you.
Yep.
And they should have never won that Tampa Bay game.
All right, interesting game here. Humans, you have the philosophy, right? Numbers under 3. It's telling you something.
It's a fragile favorite. It's a weak favorite.
Buffalo at Cleveland. John, look ahead. Was Cleveland minus 2.5. What is it rehung?
We opened at 2.5, and we're still at 2.5, and this could be a situation where maybe Cleveland's season ended today. And maybe this game next week doesn't have much meaning for them. And I talked about this in lead up to the college football card this week. Notre Dame, their loss last week, basically ended their season. I thought Virginia Tech was a good bet against Notre Dame yesterday because Notre Dame's season was over. Is Cleveland, in terms of the national championship, is Cleveland's season over after today's loss? Buffalo has everything to play for.
Notre Dame was yesterday in the dream crusher situation where their playoff hopes, like John said, were crushed the week before in Ann Arbor, and that lost to Michigan. So they were a fade yesterday. Virginia Tech getting all those points, 17.5 points, should have won the game straight up, but they got too conservative and didn't throw the knockout punch when they had the chance, and the Hokies blew the lead. As far as this game, you're not going to find me betting on the Mayfield-Kitchens combination. I bet on the Browns once this season, and I won't do it again. And, this Baker Mayfield, a struggling young quarterback against an outstanding Buffalo defense. For me, it would be Bills or pass. I'm leaning towards pass right now, but I want nothing to do with the Browns.
Yep. I think it's a pretty fair assessment.
Welcome back to A Numbers Game with Gill Alexander.
Again, I'm on the Chargers tonight. Jeff, you sound like you might be on the Raiders. I look for see who plays on that offensive line.
Nah, waiting on the Trent Brown status before even considering anything. Again, I like it in teasers better than the 1.5.
Again, these guys were in practice at limited capacity, but it is a short week, so you never know if they show up. By the way, BetMGM running that special promotion in New Jersey tonight for the game. The matchup between the Raiders and the Chargers. Just use bonus code over there in New Jersey with the BetMGM app, VSiN100, to place a $1 pregame moneyline bet on the Raiders and win $100 if the Raiders score. First-time BetMGM bettors, I will repeat, get 100-to-1 odds on the Raiders scoring tonight when you use bonus code VSiN100. Time to believe in your game at BetMGM. Turn your predictions into convictions with real money bets on parlays, boosted odds specials, in-game live betting, and much more. Download the BetMGM app or visit BetMGM.com today and get 100-to-1 odds on the Raiders scoring tonight when you use bonus code VSiN100. Again, got to be 21 or older, must be in New Jersey. Restrictions apply. Visit BetMGM.com for full list of terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. It's the BetMGM app. We get tweets at Beating the Book. Always appreciated. A lot of love for story time this week, which Chrissy Andrews came back. We promised on Guessing Lines this week that Chrissy would do story time every once in a while. Here's David McDonald. Guessing Lines story time was wonderful. Thank you. Thank Chrissy. Do not thank me, but we all thank Chrissy for that story. It was a horse racing related story. Mark Wilson, what a story from Chris Andrews this week on Guessing Lines. With Gill, it's why we're all in the game for that one big coup. You were inches from glory. Blame Pinhead. As they say, it's the hope that kills you. Just a great story. Great horse racing story that is available, by the way. That same horse racing story is a Storytime classic. It's in Chrissy's book. Then One Day, available where all books are sold, including at Amazon. Bill Krackomberger is here, hanging out. I was pressing him before the break on some picks, and he's sitting there scouring for stuff. Find anything?
I have nothing.
You have nothing.
I have nothing because I'm never going to force a play anyway myself.
No.
But
I don't want you to do that.
Nothing. I like to give out a little bit higher edge things. So I will tell you though, I was talking to my buddy Teddy Atlas last night. This is another subject. He comes on the show sometimes, and Teddy was talking to me about he's in Dallas, which I didn't know, but when he called me, he was in Dallas, and he is doing this podcast with this Patrick Bet David, who is a very popular guy on YouTube. He's interviewed so many different mob guys, and not only mob guys. He'll interview Phil Hellmuth too. He had, but by the way, Jordan Belfort. There was some great interview. He does some great sit downs. Kobe Bryant, Vanilla Ice. He does some really good sit downs though, and gets real deep. Somehow he gets these guys to talk. Well, the last one was Sammy the Bull Gravano.
Oh,
which he hasn't talked in 20-some years. So, and it was a very in-depth. I learned more on that Sammy the Bull Gravano podcast than watching any mob documentary by Bill Curtis or anything. He talked about some real stuff that went on, real stuff that's been going on, and he talked about stuff that we never even knew about the Castellano hit. That he was outside. And I never knew this till last week. I heard the show. When Gotti and him had Castellano whacked outside Sparks Steakhouse, he was outside there, and there was two cops on the corner. Just so happened these two cops, if they walked down that street, he was taking them out. And it just so happens that they decided to walk down the other way. The things you don't know. But anyway, let me get to the point with Teddy Atlas, because one thing that Sammy the Bull did on that podcast, because Teddy trained him for a bit and trained his son.
Teddy trained Sammy the Bull?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Former underboss of the Gambino crime family?
Yes,
Sammy
he
Bull?
did some training with him and his son. And for some reason, Sammy went totally nuts. He didn't go nuts on any of the mob guys. He didn't talk about John Gotti. When they came to him in jail and said, hey, John Gotti died, they thought he was going to be happy. He said, happy? That guy was my best friend. So at one time. Oh, before you rattled him out. But anyway.
The guy, he brought him down.
But he didn't talk with any venom until Teddy Atlas's name was mentioned.
Oh, no.
So he
on this podcast?
Yes.
Oh, no.
Oh,
what did
yeah.
he say?
Oh, yeah. So he went after Teddy. And
what was his beef with Teddy?
He just said that, because Teddy talks about internal fear that a boxer has. You better have a little bit of fear in you.
It's a respect of your opponent.
It's a respect, yeah. So he talked about training and internal fears, and he said everyone has fear. Because Sammy made a comment on one of the shows back then or something. Maybe he didn't. Yeah, I don't have no fear. He goes, well, listen, everyone has fear, so you have to have fear. That's a lie.
He didn't like that.
So Sammy went after him. Like on the show, and Sammy challenged him to fight and everything. Here's 75-year-old Sammy Gravano saying, he goes, "Oh, well, you tell that guy." So now Teddy is in Dallas to give his interview to the same guy.
Oh man!
So that's going to come out this week.
That's interesting. 75 years old. By the way, we had Ernie Shavers in studio. I don't know if anybody remembers.
Shavers.
Ernie Shavers was kind enough to come on a numbers game a couple years ago at VSiN. He was just hanging out at the studio. I was like, "You want to come on the show?" He's like, "Sure." And so Shavers came on. Shavers is in his 70s now.
See his hands?
Oh, dude.
He's in great shape, too.
Shavers, largely considered, as you very well know, the hardest puncher in the history of boxing. Harder than Foreman, harder than anybody.
Absolutely.
And he said,
Ali said it.
Yeah, and he said, I asked him, I said, well, how did you get that way? He said, well, when I was a boy, I was a farmhand. And so I got strong as a child, and that's how it worked out. And so I asked him, you started the Sammy the Bull thing. I asked him, I go, let me ask you a question right now. I don't think it was 73 years old. Don't go into the age. He said, if we got it right out here in the VSiN studio, you're 73 years old, and you just hit me in the stomach. Would I go down and he goes, he goes, oh yeah, you'd be done.
Definitely.
Done. 73 years old. He would just knock me down.
His hands,
stomach punch.
I know Ernie. So his hands are double the size of the average hand. His hands are huge. I mean, Muhammad Ali said it best. All the fights Muhammad Ali was in, Muhammad Ali said, I've never been hit harder than Ernie Shavers.
Here's the saddest part of all of it. For a good long period after that, for about a year, 2017, 2018, Ernie Shavers, Leon Spinks, those are the two guys who were the main guys. They'd be over there at Planet Hollywood signing autographs. And people would just walk by them like they were nobody.
They didn't even know.
They didn't even know who they were.
No, they were.
And I just thought to myself, I go, this is the saddest thing ever.
I seen Leon Speaks recently. No one knows who he is. Imagine if they only knew.
If they only knew.
If they only knew that this guy. it's a sad thing when you see that. The kids don't know them. Here's how I judge things too. Pull up a Lady Gaga video and see 1.1 billion hits.
Yeah.
Pull up some videos of the guys of our time, and they have 28,000 hits, 36,000 hits. I mean, I'm using a giant person, Lady Gaga, but I mean, you could just use anyone though. Compared to years ago, they only know what they know. They don't. Where I love history, I look up old fights. I love YouTube is amazing just to see the old fighters, the old Jack Johnson, There's so many things about
And in round 37, Jack Johnson.
Right.
That's right.
People don't know that. They think that there was always 12 or 15 round caps.
That's right.
They used to fight no holds barred, till the end. And they had these like battle royals where not a wrestling thing where it's fake. They had boxing where you fight until the end.
What was your biggest boxing betting victory, and what was your biggest loss?
Betting victory has to be Floyd.
Floyd and Connor.
Yeah,
that's
Connor.
everybody's answer.
Yeah.
Mine too.
I thought I was done betting that.
Yeah.
And that game, right at fight time, Stations went down to like minus whatever. Stations really was like trying to get off their position, and I don't remember the price, whatever it was, but it was like 50 cents less than I laid earlier that day, which was a good price.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, I got to bet 2 more thousand. I mean, I didn't plan to. I didn't plan to bet like 20-some thousand on the fight.
Yeah.
But I just had to do it.
What was my line with the Nationals? It was your obligation to bet it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I'll give you my biggest loss. I'll tell you what. I usually don't talk politics. I'm not a politic guy talking. But however, my biggest loss ever was betting Hillary minus 170. Not saying that I wanted her to win from a from a personal standpoint, but from a mathematical standpoint, I cost averaged laying $1.70 over Trump.
Yeah,
that's unbelievable. The line was 7.5 to 1, by the way, at election time. So I laid $1.70. And I lost a war bond.
I was only confining it to boxing, but that's a better answer.
Oh,
yeah.
Sorry. I'm just
no.
That's my biggest my biggest loss ever.
That's a lot of people have the same story with that on election night. They did not see that coming, and how would they have? Although let me just say, Jason Weingarten, who's on the show a lot, he was on the other side of that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And I could have took 6 to 1 right at election. I could have hedged my bet and locked up a profit either way. Mm-hmm. But I just thought I had such a great bet, minus 170. And but then again, it's funny whether you know it or people don't know it. I used to work for Donald for a while.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, I was the gaming editor at Trump Magazine in New York, so I actually know him personally, know his kids. I always wanted to tell him, like, man, you cost me $40,000, DT.
DT.
Yeah. But yeah, so
wow, we waited 40 minutes for you buried the headline. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Well, because you're not supposed to talk politics, and I'm not I don't get into politics.
Well, you're not telling about it. You worked for his magazine, and you were the editor of his game. How did that go? How long did that last?
How did that go? Every 3 months, I used to have a conversation with him. No, it went good actually.
Okay.
Every 3 months,
I
used to have a conversation where he used to, say like it was like a letter from the editor saying what's going on with his what's going on with his 3 casinos in Atlantic City at the time, the Trump Plaza, the Taj Mahal, and the Marina. So. That was more of a like what was going on promotion-wise in his properties, and his secretary was his dad's secretary, Rona, and that this was 20-some years ago, so I'm sure she's gone. But it was interesting though. Listen. I know people hate him. I know people love him. Whatever it is, but I judge people by tips sometimes, and I was with him one time at the valet at the Taj Mahal, and he said, "How many guys are working here?" 12 guys, and he'd give $1,200, like $100 for each guy. Same thing with Charles Barkley. I've seen him do that. And the opposite of that is, of course, Tiger Woods and Michael Jordan. Got to throw the little shot in there against those guys. They're only worth $1 billion each. I understand.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So anyway, that's really it. Let's and politics is a terrible subject.
No, it's not politics.
It's not politics. It's about math.
You had a good experience with him, is what you're saying.
Listen, I had minus 170 on a game that was minus 7 point for that was minus 7.5 to 1. So I still can't believe I lost that bet. That was such a great mathematical bet.
Bill's like, I had a great experience with him. I'm betting the house against him.
Yeah.
It didn't work out.
Yep.
All right. Bill Krackomberger. Somehow we buried that headline. Coming back, we'll wrap it up right here on a numbers game at VSiN.
Welcome back to A Numbers Game with Gill Alexander.
Defense has scored 4, and they've allowed 4 on the season. They've allowed 4 touchdowns halfway through the season.
Yeah, because the defense has 4, the special teams has a couple.
Yeah,
on top of that.
punts, yeah.
Right. So when I think of the best defenses of all time, right, this is why having such a great unit with all 11 guys is so difficult, because sometimes you're going to get a good pass rush, but you have a bad secondary, or you have a great secondary and a terrible whatever. But like the 2001 Ravens were so good because they had that great defensive line, linebackers led by Ray Lewis, and then in the secondary, Ed Reed's one of the best safeties of all time. But look at the INT leaders this year. It's McCourty, Gilmore's on the list, Collins is on the list.
Oh, the takeaways.
So like they're getting pressure. The second people are actually calling the secondary the best secondary they've ever seen before.
Yeah.
Going to Notre Dame games, improved football games, looking at lines and picking games, and then checking the finals the next day.
I used to do that. My dad would drive the games, JVT. We would drive up to West Lafayette or South Bend and Notre Dame or Purdue games, and I would have this Saturday paper with all the betting lines. And I would circle the teams I thought were going to cover. This is like covered wagon days compared to when you grew up.
Did you have to call a 1-900 number to find out the scores?
Actually, that was back in the sports pager days. I would circle the teams I thought were going to cover the spread, and I would have to wait till the next day when the Sunday paper showed up to get the scores and grade my picks against the spreads. Yeah, it is archaic. That's how I did it when I was like 7 or 8 years old.
Tired of all those talking heads making predictions? Well, then it's time to get behind your convictions. Don't watch a game without downloading the BetMGM Sports New Jersey app or visiting BetMGM.com. New customers can make their first bet completely risk-free. Up to $500. That's a nice way to start the season. When you download the app, be sure to use my bonus code VSIN500 at the sign-up to get your $500 risk-free bet. That's bonus code VSIN500 to place your first BetMGM wager risk-free. You can sign up and deposit anywhere, but you must be in the state of New Jersey to place a sports bet. Enough talk. Believe in your game. Believe in your bet. BetMGM Sports. Download the BetMGM Sports New Jersey app now.
Must be 21 or older. In New Jersey only. Restrictions apply. Visit BetMGM.com for the full list of terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Welcome back to A Numbers Game with Gill Alexander.
Jerry Andrassi on Twitter tells me it was a 260-mile drive, not a 400-mile drive for the Krispy Kreme guy. Apologize, from Minnesota, Iowa. How is it that we have gone all this time, sitting here with Bill Krackomberger, at Bill Crackman with a K on Twitter, how is it that we've gone all this time and we've not had the Donald Trump story? Or as you like to call him, DT.
Yeah. Well, listen, our office was on 27th and Park. I used to go in every week. That's right. See, people don't know that kind of stuff. I was a regular guy, you know.
Yeah.
I'm still a regular guy.
You're still a regular guy.
Yeah. You know, that was back in the 90s. That's what I did. I was still betting sports, though. I was betting Advantage sports betting. I was playing poker a lot more.
Did he ever show an interest in betting sports with you?
No. No, not really. But of course, he knew I bet sports. But no, he didn't show no interest in betting sports.
Sports fandom? Did he ever talk to you about sports?
But I mean, he
because he owned the Generals, the New Jersey Generals.
Yes, he owned the Generals there for a while.
That didn't go well for him.
No.
You know what the actionable sports betting not sports betting, but the actionable betting information of that lesson there, where you bet on Hillary and it lost, is remember Nate Silver and the 538 guys in the 2012 election, and I want to say the 2008 too, but 2012, his numbers or their numbers over there at 538 called it perfectly.
That's the reason. That's one of the reasons why there was a good bet. So Nate also did the same thing.
So
right?
in 2016, not to pick on them, nobody's numbers had what was going to happen. And it is a quirk of the Electoral College, right? So I guess when the next election comes up in 2020, and people can insert whatever comments they want based on however they want to, but we'll just keep it here on a base level. It is a lesson in polling is just perhaps not as reliable as we think it is, especially when you have a system like the Electoral College that sort of games the game. It doesn't game the game, but it's sort of it's not exactly counting stats. It changes the composition of who ends up winning and who doesn't. So it's not that simple. And if you can win certain states, then whatever large polling data they have often gets skewed because it really does come down to, as people know in politics in this country, 4 to 6 states in the presidential election.
Just a real quick story. Let's go back to that because my partner just texted me. We cost average minus $1.90, so it wasn't $1.70. But the main bet there was when Donald got in trouble with that interview or something. Remember, it broke where he talked about
the Billy Bush interview.
Well, instantly though, because he's a giant media. This guy is a giant political Fox, MSNBC, everything he listens to. Immediately he got right on and said, "Listen, we got to bet this right now." I'm talking about seconds after that broke. We actually bet, and the sportsbook. He just reminded me. The sportsbook. I'm not going to say who it is. They were so mad at me for betting 10,000, which is their max bet. They took 10,000 on Hillary at, I think it was minus 210.
Because you got to that before it broke, yeah.
So they were so mad at me though, and he's right. I totally forgot about that until he just texted me. But that's what we do. We're looking for information. So these sportsbooks should not get upset at you because I have information before you. You should pay your department, you pay your team to follow their lines, follow information, follow socials, follow media, and get your information before the sports bettors. You don't think every single sports bettor is trying to get information or thinks they know more than you? That's the reason why they're betting. So these sports books, they get upset because we're getting a line before you. Tough tookie.
Yeah, tough tookie. I don't know what that means, but tough tookie. And again, for those who are listening who are like, wait, is this a political conversation? It's not a political conversation at all. It's a betting conversation.
Yes.
That's all we're interested in, as Bill worked for the man and then bet against him.
Yes. There's a perfect example of what I mean.
That's proof of the pudding right there. Billy, thank you as always, man.
No
Appreciate it. Surgery tomorrow for me. Jeff Parlay will be here. Todd Wishnev will join him for part of it. Enjoy. Good luck with all your bets tonight. Chargers, Raiders.
Keep it right here for more of A Numbers Game with Gill Alexander.